parents need to change behaviors, right? So you can like it, not like it, but if there are certain things we want a parent to change, then a parent may need parenting facilitation.
Welcome back, guys, to Cases and Cocktails. This is episode 20 here, and as usual, I've got my beautiful wife with me. Janice, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Parental Alienation Month, April, so we're trucking along here. Got a little bit more fun stuff to do today. We've got two guests today, and on top of that, they're virtual, so they're not here with us. I'm sure this is going to go off without a hitch.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, we'll see. We're lucky to have the guests that we have today. They are out of the Houston area, and today we've got Jayna, Haney, and we also have Dwilene. Oh, no, I got that backwards. No, I did it right. I'm so sorry. I told you I'll screw this up. I've got Jayna Haney, and I've got Dwilene Lindsey, both from Children for Tomorrow out of Houston. How are y'all doing today?
Great.
Fine, thank you.
We are stoked to have you. If for any reason at some point you can't hear us or anything, let us know and we'll get that figured out. More importantly, though, we're excited to have you here, particularly in this month because it is Parental Alienation Awareness Month, and this is sort of what y'all do down there in Houston, isn't that right?
That's right. Yes.
We're going to talk about that a little bit today and talk about what y'all do and how y'all do that. Before we do it, because it's Cases and Cocktails, we've got a cocktail, and we've got to introduce the cocktail, and then we got to have some. I don't know that y'all got cocktails with you, but if you got water, we can do that as well. There you go. They've got
that's my cocktail.
Jay, what kind of cocktail we have today?
This one's a mint julep, so it's bourbon, mint, simple syrup, and usually crushed ice.
Nice. Before I try this, Dwilene, do you have a preferred adult beverage that you consume?
Do I? Basically, no.
That's fair. What about you?
Diet Coke.
Diet Coke. That's fair. Jayna, what about you? You got one?
I drink the occasional wine or rum and Coke.
Nice. Fantastic. Classics, by the way. All right. I'm going to try this. Y'all can join us here if you want. That is a lot of bourbon. All right. I can do it. I'm not offended by it. I'm just saying that's a lot of bourbon. Woo. All right. That's a lot. Guys, how are y'all doing down there in Houston?
Good.
We're good. It's actually getting kind of warm here, so
yeah,
we're enjoying the warm after the cold.
Nice. What you may not know this about us, we've got a fully remote law team, and we have multiple team members that are in the Houston area. So both Houston, Kemah, just north of Houston as well. And so I give Houston a hard time, but I owe Houston a lot because I got a lot of really good people that help take care of me particularly. My entire team, my particular personal team, my litigation stack is everyone is in Houston for the most part. So I got to be nice to Houston, I guess is what I have to do.
You do.
Yeah, I really do.
I think our family courts here, I know Harris County has 30,000 cases a month that are filed in Houston at family law.
That is
wow.
That is insane.
So it's a big place down here with a lot of families that are hurting. So it makes sense that you would have a presence here.
Well, and I got to say this too. So y'all have got a presence there, and y'all actually do something that's really, really. It's useful, it's beneficial, but more importantly, I don't see it done a lot of other places. And that's Children for Tomorrow. Y'all tell us a little bit about that.
So Children for Tomorrow, we started our organization in 2009, and we started out with just giving children some mental health, counseling, and we saw that you put a child into counseling and the parents aren't getting counseling, then you're getting no results. So we decided we would do a parenting class, and we do the parenting class, which we incorporate the parenting class into our conflict, our CFAP program, which is a complex family assessment and treatment program. And we kind of give them an aha moment if they're alienating or trying to alienate. They go, oh my gosh, I'm doing this, and they stop, and some people keep going. But, it gives them an opportunity to recognize that.
That's fantastic. Now, let me ask this question. Y'all, so you started this, and you started off doing kind of the therapeutic component. Do y'all still do the therapeutic component?
We do have a little clinic, yes.
Fantastic. All licensed mental health professionals, I assume?
Yes.
Well, the beauty of Children for Tomorrow is that when it started in '09, it very quickly transformed into parenting classes that the judges ordered. Then when we started doing the complex family assessment and treatment program in 2018, so that was when it was an idea on a napkin. Well, that was 2016, but 2017, 2018, we were training mental health professionals, and Dwilene and Renee at that point had already had incredible relationships with the judges in Harris County and the surrounding counties. And so once we started doing our complex family assessment and treatment program, then they have continued to do the parenting classes. And then as we have done more and more in our assessment area, then we also then have had more and more people come to us looking for resources and support. And so out of our assessment came an idea of a clinic to provide low-cost clinic. And so a lot of Children for Tomorrow started having counseling interns a number of years ago. Some are social worker interns, some are counseling interns, some are marriage and family therapy interns. And when they started this piece, then we determined that we could do a clinic for people, because we know a lot of folks that come to us have already been in the family court. They don't have a lot of money, right? They've spent it all, and they still need help. They need support. And so the counseling clinic was set up with the idea of having our graduate interns have an opportunity to work with families. So we're able to provide this low cost, but also there are several licensed therapists that oversee the counseling clinic and some of the counseling.
Jayna, that is absolutely awesome. I mean, it's a full scale sort of operation to address these issues. You said something about being on the back of a napkin, and I don't want to get into a lot of details, but what was the impetus, right? What was the
idea?
Yeah, I mean, what made you think this could work?
The idea was, people that we saw that were going through what I thought was psychological abuse, which it is, but I didn't really know all about parental alienation, so I had to do a lot of research. And from that, it evolved to what we do now. And I know a lot about parental alienation, or psychological child abuse is what I like to call it. It just kind of evolved, but we did have a napkin. We had our Children for Tomorrow. We were trying to figure out a name, and there was 4 children that we were trying to help. And so we just said Children for Tomorrow. We wanted a future for children. So that's how the name came about.
That's fabulous.
And then, then Dwilene and Renee kept talking to family court judges. And the family court judges would talk about the difficulties of how to help these families and how difficult it was even from the bench, right? Because, and you all know this as family law attorneys, right? I mean, a judge doesn't get, except for a trial, a judge is not going to get hours and hours to look through things. A judge is not going to be able to see the dynamics, right, with parents and children and how they work. And so Dwilene and Renee were like, we've got to figure out a way to help courts be able to understand more about these underlying dynamics that a judge is not normally going to have the opportunity. And with the exception, perhaps, of custody evaluators, who they are probably the only other option that sees every single person in the family, the reality was a lot of when children and parents start rejecting or resisting or refusing, when children start doing that with parents, oftentimes you never ever see that parent with the children again. The court doesn't require that. So that was the second idea born on the back of a napkin, which was Dwilene's vision for we had to figure out a way to get these children and parents together.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about, you said that there's an evaluation. What is it, the intake process? What does it look like when someone shows up at Children for Tomorrow?
Well, sometimes we just get a court order from a judge and say, they say, come here. Sometimes I have people calling me. I have people calling me from all over the world about we haven't been able to help all over the world, but I have people call me all over the world, and we just, they'll say, this is going on, and I'll say, how can we help you? And they'll say, well, we heard about Children for Tomorrow, and they do an assessment. So I give them information, and they take it back to their attorney. And if the attorney needs to speak to me, I will, walk them through what the process is, and we go from there. Sometimes they get it ordered. Sometimes they don't.
And usually it's in a court. I'm sorry. Usually it's a court order or a mediation agreement, or the attorneys agree together. Sometimes it's encouraged by the amicus or ad litem, who's trying to figure out what is going on with the family, who needs some support, and then from there. But we don't ever proceed. We have to have some sort of agreement or order.
And that's, I think it's important that one, that you approach it that way, that you kind of get forced buy-in, right, from both parties, right, both parents. But more importantly, I want to hear from y'all, what specifically are you looking for in an order, right? So, as a family law litigator, I've seen a lot of orders that say a lot of things, but what specifically for y'all are you looking in an order to help effectuate the goals and sort of the ideas that y'all have for helping people?
Well, so I mean, we have a set of orders, and we give them out, and it's not a secret. And the order basically states that the parties agree, or the judge has ordered that the Children for Tomorrow assessment is going to be done. It generally will have dates and times by which people need to contact us. So I think without dates and times, that oftentimes it gets dragged out. So one of the things I think we've learned by experience is you need to put a date by which both parties need to contact us. Once they do that, they're directed to a website. They can call and talk to Dwilene, and she'll talk with them. But they're directed to a website. They provide all the information. We have to get releases from them to be able to work with them, to be able to talk to each of the parents. We also ask them for releases related to any mental health professionals and any other professionals that are working with the family. And then we also ask them for any information they want to provide to us related to their case. And so this comes generally from the parents, and this can be everything from OFW emails to text messages to social media posts, audio and video recordings, reports, police reports, CPS reports, professional reports. So the parents are asked to upload this information, and I think we tracked it on several cases, and we spend 400 to 600 hours looking at all of this information, all of this collateral information that goes along with the family.
You said 400 to 600 hours?
Yes. We have a team. We have a team of mental health professionals and interns that work on the forensic piece of the case.
So you've sparked I'm a morbidly curious person, and I apologize. So I'm going to ask a bunch of questions, and I won't get bogged down. We got a lot to talk about, but so you've got a team that's looking through all this. Do y'all have some sort of like a uniform system of working through that? What is that? And I don't need all the specifics. I want you to give away trade secrets, I guess. I don't know. It would seem like it's all therapeutic based and sort of that coming from that approach. But tell us, or at least tell everybody, kind of what you're basing that 400 to 600 hour assessment on.
So we go through we put them in a binder, and we make a timeline of like police reports, any court documents, and we're looking for patterns of certain things. We'll have our text messages, our audio and video. Audio and video takes time to go through that, so we do look through that, and just anything that we have to put it in a timeline so we can see what happened, why did this happen. What event took place that caused this to happen. And so that's basically what we do.
And while you're doing that, I assume you're doing that for all the data pieces. So it's not just you got one parent and you're just looking at that through one lens. Is there a way to make that more efficient in some capacity, or does it literally just take that much time to work through all that data?
Well, you get this data. Sometimes these people send you stuff and they go, oh, let me send you this. And then we have interviews with each parent at the beginning, and they'll talk about something. We'll go, oh, well, give us you say that, we need the facts behind that. So, we have to incorporate that. So we're getting things a lot of times, and we have to incorporate it into the timeline.
And I will say truthfully, we tell parents we don't need to see 800 text messages, right? Or 800 OFW messages. And you're family law attorneys, you know how that works, right? But on topics that you feel are at the heart of the matter here, we'd like to see all of those. And we do ask for like your top 20 documents. We do try to get them to call through before they send these things to us. But certainly, we have people that will, and we have learned by experience to ask people to put it on a Dropbox, right? But then a lot of it is printed out. The audios and videos can stay on the Dropbox, and we have a way of doing that is HIPAA compliant and very safe and secure. But yeah, there really is no shortcut to looking at it. You just have to look at it. But our binders are very well organized, and we kind of know what we're looking at. And like I said, we put together this timeline, and we have everything numbered. And over the years, since we've been doing this since 2018, we've developed pretty much a protocol and a process that works.
At the end, you've done the assessment, you've done the things. Is there a report? Are you writing that out? What does that look like?
So we write that. We give a background history of the family. We will give our findings, and then we'll also see how it affects each person in the case, and then we will give a recommendation to what we feel it will heal the family. So we put that in a report. It's usually 35 to 40 something pages, Jayna?
Yeah, right. I mean, the report is kind of varied. It depends on the difficulty. We've probably in the last few years received a lot of, quite frankly, pretty complex cases that have spanned 10 or 15 years, and so we're having to figure out how all of that works together. But I think what makes our report unique is that we try to verbalize for a judge in a pretty succinct manner. Here's what we're seeing, and here's why this is important, and here's how this is showing up. And I think a lot of times we are contacted by an amicus or an ad litem who knows that there are problems with the family, and they know that there are issues that need to be addressed, but they have difficulty being able to explain it, right? So they can see it, right? So I know what this is, or I know this isn't good, but I don't know how to explain this to a judge in a way that I think is going to be helpful. Or I know there's something wrong, but I can't put my finger on how I can say this. And so a lot of times our reports are set up to provide that information to the court. Here's the patterns, and here's what this means, and here's why this is important. And what happens then is the amicus or ad litem will go, oh, this is exactly what I was seeing, but I just didn't know how to talk about it or to explain it. And then our treatment recommendations are very specific. So, it's not enough to say, oh, they need family therapy. Like it's not enough, because these families don't just need family therapy. They need a therapist that understands the process and understands why it's a problem. They need a therapist perhaps that is working with one or both parents on specific issues. And so our treatment recommendations are very thorough. They create a path forward that a judge can utilize by ordering this, and this. If you do these things, the family will be where you judge want it to be, if your desire is the healing and restoration of the family. So we will give specific recommendations regarding therapists, regarding what the therapist works on, so that there is no doubt about exactly what we're recommending or exactly why the judge would want to recommend that.
What are some other examples of things that might be recommended other than therapy?
Well, we had this case, and sometimes these kids are addicted to electronics, so we have to send them there. And sometimes people need inpatient stuff. So
Uh,
we help with that. That's rare, but I mean, those are things that we research and we investigate because we want to give the family the tools and the resources that they need to heal the family, or we're just wasting their time and our time. So, yeah,
it's also about education. In some ways, there's some psych education that sometimes we might refer families to. And also, we do refer parenting facilitation. Parenting facilitation is not therapy. Parents need to change behaviors, right? So you can like it, not like it, but if there are certain things we want a parent to change, then a parent may need parenting facilitation or someone that works on the education consultation piece of the parent. Here are your behaviors that are causing problems, and here is how we need you to change them.
I've got to ask, y'all are in the Houston area. Can people outside the Houston area come and utilize this? I
definitely.
assume being in the state of Texas is helpful, but
Yes.
anywhere, I assume y'all can do this remotely.
Yes, we've had an assessment out of state even. So, but they have to come to our facility for one day. Everybody has to come to our facility one day. Everything else can be done via Zoom or
Do
online.
y'all talk to the kiddos, or do y'all just talk to the parents?
We do no. We talk to the kiddos too. Yes, yes,
So our assessment is 6 to 8 sessions, and so the first 2 sessions are done with each individual parent. If they're in state, that can be done by Zoom. And then what we learned many years ago was that it's actually better for us rather than piecemealing out the additional sessions. We have one day that is considered a family session. We have one parent that works with us in the morning. We have them be with their children. And then that parent leaves. We do a family session with that parent and the children. Then we talk individually with that parent after the session to kind of debrief. Then that parent does some of our questionnaires that we have. Then that parent leaves. Then we have about 2 hours with the children just by themselves with no parent. And we have a nonverbal self report that we do with them. We have some very light ways that we work with them. And then we sit and we eat lunch with them and we just talk with them about normal things. And we love being able just to learn about these kids without any parent there, right? You can learn a lot by how are they acting with this parent, by themselves, with this other parent. And there's so much that we learn that's not even officially in the session. So it's really interesting. And then at the end of the day, we have the second parent come and we do another family session, and we do a post family session with that parent, and that parent does some questionnaires, and then the family goes home. But over the years, we used to piecemeal it, and we've realized it's better just to have them come spend one day with us, and we learn so much about the family and the children. Really, it's really a hoot. We really
we have fun.
a lot of these kids, they have done therapy, right? They have been interviewed by custody evaluators, and we tell parents, listen, we don't have horns on our head. We ask, what are your kids' favorite foods? What do they like to uh, snack on? We go out and we buy specific food, specific candy, specific snacks. We ask them if they like pizza or Chick-fil-A or hamburgers, and we have a great time with them. So we try to make this as non-therapeutic from that standpoint.
That's awesome. That's absolutely
We have a lot of
fantastic.
slime and goop, and they love
Oh,
that
yeah. I
because they
bet.
don't usually get to do that at home.
Yeah,
No,
I can
no,
only.
not after the first time.
I was gonna say I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Guys, I think it's a fantastic thing that you're doing there. I gotta ask a question. Y'all seem very passionate and very excited to be doing what you're doing, which is very refreshing, and I appreciate that. When you are going into these things and you're talking to the kids and you're obviously dealing with parents and kids that are in high conflict custody cases, right? You're not getting agreed divorces here, right? So you got high conflict custody cases, you're looking at parental alienation, you're looking at psychological child abuse, to use your word or your phrase, Dwilene. When you're going through this, how difficult is it on the kids to engage in this?
Well, I think that the kids that come to our office, for the most part, are pleasantly surprised because we try not to make it difficult. I really was serious. We try to not make it seem like therapy. And I think the being a therapeutic assessment means that we're not trying to get these kids to come. We're not doing therapy with them. We're not trying to get them to spill their guts. We're not trying to dig deep to find out what's happened. Now, children will naturally tell us things and give us information if they want to. But the majority of our work with them is more of objective testing. But we also, and then just spending time with them. And then even in the family session is set up to be very light, very easy, about 30 minutes. We're not trying to do anything other than just see how the family works and what it looks like. And we're creating an opportunity for the family to be together. Even in cases where, and we have a number of these cases where children haven't spoken to a parent, say, for 2 years, 3 years, 6 months, whatever it is, I actually facilitate a Zoom call before the family session so that somebody could say, oh, well, they don't want to see their parent, or I don't want to see my parent. It's like, well, we really need this for our assessment. And I'll do a Zoom call with you, and we'll have you see this other parent. And then I prepare both the child and the parent. So I'm preparing on the front end both of these folks individually. And then we put them together for 5 or 10 minutes. We're not trying to find world peace here. We're just trying to reestablish that I can be in the same room or the same Zoom room with a parent and nobody turns into flames, right? Everything is okay. And then at the assessment, then we're guiding them. They're not ever left alone. They're getting the attention of us as well as our interns. And so I think children overall feel very supported in the process. We're not trying to get them to do things that they don't want to do. We're not trying to make them do things that are going to be hard for them.
How many of these do y'all do a year? Just curious.
This year they're coming faster than they normally have. So we last year I think we had 6 of them come through. Right now we have to finish up. We have about 7 cases to finish up right now. I mean, that we have on the books right now. We have binders for. So yeah, I mean, sometimes we don't even know. I've had, like a judge send me one. I didn't even know we're getting a case, like, I don't know what to do. These people, take care of them. I mean,
Fuck.
You got it. Figure it out.
I want to ask both of you real fast, Dwilene and Jayna separately, sort of what drove you to this space? I mean, obviously, it sounds like you come from a space of wanting to help. I get that answer. I do. But this is a particular type of help, right? And it's the same thing that we get asked, and sometimes people judge us on, and it is an indictment of our mental health to be involved in these types of cases and that sort of stuff. And so it's an indictment of y'all's mental health as well. And I'm just kind of curious, like, why did each of you individually choose this?
I was married for 11 years and I divorced in 1998. And I had 2 young daughters. And about 3 years after that, I remarried a man who had 2 children as well. And, I've lived under a decree for 16 years. I know what that's like. And I know that even good people have problems, and even good people end up in the family court system. In 2006, I'm also in private practice, and I established a company called the Bridge Across for single parents and step families. And my husband and I started working, we did step family classes. We started working with single parents. We started working around co-parenting and the difficulties of co-parenting. And in 2012, when I was 48, I went back to graduate school, right? So I have a real understanding of single parent life and of step family life and of the difficulties of co-parenting. Co-parenting is very, very, very difficult. And it makes me mad when people write things in comments like, oh, these 2 people just need to get over it. It's like, unless you've divided up all the things in your life, you do not understand about being a single parent. And unless you've lived in step family life, you do not understand the intricacies and the difficulties, even with parents that love their kids, but may have very different ways of parenting. So I'm sorry. And so from that standpoint, I had to do enough of my own work post divorce, post remarriage to get to a point where I could be therapeutically neutral and aligned. But also, I will tell you that when I was looking for help for my single parent life, for my step family life, for my children, for our children, I had a hard time finding therapists that really knew or understood these complexities. I mean, a lot of therapists out there, feel like their divorce is your divorce, and it's not. And so, even in a big place like Houston, Texas, it was hard to find people that understood all the difficulties. Their eyes would glaze over, they would look a little panicky. And so, part of what I do in my private practice is do some very brief solution focused work to help these kind of families that used to, who are used to people
Right.
glazing their eyes over.
It really is, Jayna, you really touch on a subject there. It is very difficult, and the co-parenting part is extremely difficult, and it is often sort of this space where people say, just do what you're supposed to do, and I'm not going to be derogatory towards the bench or anything, but I often am sitting there next to my client as the court is doing their best, and they're limited in what they can do. So I'm not saying that they're doing it wrong. I'm just saying, though, that admonishing mom and dad, admonishing the parents to say, do what you're supposed to do. It's like me telling my kids, do what you're supposed to do. But I never really told them what that is.
Means, yeah.
And they don't have any, I tell clients this all the time, and y'all might giggle at this, but I tell clients in Texas, there's two ways to get divorced, right? There's by agreement, and there's in front of a judge. And respectfully, and they immediately say, well, we want to do this by agreement. I'm like, that's great. And I think you should. And anytime you can, that's perfect. But I just want to point out something. You are holding yourself out in public that the two of you can't get along and make decisions together enough to stay living in the same house. What makes you think now suddenly you're going to start making agreements?
Right.
Right. I mean, it just doesn't make sense, right?
It minimizes, in my opinion, sometimes what everyone is going through. When the
Right.
judges just look at everyone, admonish everyone for being in the room, and say, just go do, like you said, what you're supposed to do, it minimizes what they have tried to do. It minimizes their efforts, and I think ultimately minimizes what they're dealing with. And I think that's hard.
It is hard. And the nice part, and I think and we see it as much as Jayna saw it, right? In her own experience, right? And I appreciate you giving us, that insight and sharing that with us. But we see it as litigators. We stand in front of the court, and the court's like, okay, so what do you want, or who are we going to get to help? And it's like, I mean, I can call people and see if they're available, and it's, not every case is the same, and not every therapist is the same, right? So it's not just a black and white plug and play. We'll go get this LPC, right, and they'll automatically work, right? Or this parent facilitator will automatically work in this situation. And so you do need people like that. Since you've started doing, and tell me what the name of your private practice is, Jayna.
So my private practice is the Bridge Across. Is my
The
private
Bridge
practice.
Across. Since you've been doing Bridge Across. Have you seen a proliferation of more people in that space, or are you kind of just one of the few that's still in that space of helping people?
Well, I mean, I think Dwilene and I over the years have found people, and we did a training a number of years ago, and that's one of the things that we are in the process of kind of putting together again, because we get requests to do trainings all the time. The reality is, when you're in graduate school for any of these areas, social work, marriage and family therapy, LPC, even psychiatrists and psychologists, most of what you learn is still based on the nuclear family. And the reality is, if you as a therapist want to be effective in this space, you really have to do some very specific training around working with this, and also understanding what the law is. Therapists cannot establish custody. I mean, all the time I see in orders, the therapist is going to make recommendations for custody. Like, no, I can't. And no, I'm not, right? But if the therapist doesn't know what their role is and what the rules are, then it's really a problem. But there are more and more people in the space, but I think therapists are not aware of the specialized training they should have in order to work with divorced
I
families.
agree with that.
Well, when you put together that training, be sure to let us know because we'd really be interested in that.
Yeah. Dwilene, what's your story?
So my story, I feel like I was called to do this years ago as a young child. I lost my father, and so when I was a young child, so I understood. I understand how children feel of a loss of a parent. It kind of evolved because I came from a pretty, I don't want to say normal because what's normal, but pretty good family. Didn't know any high conflicts and that kind of stuff. I married and I got a divorce after 37 years. So, I knew what marriage was like and I knew what divorce was like. And then I have some children and my two sons have gone through this. So the four are my four grandchildren. So I see and I am experiencing the journey of parental alienation through my own family. So when I tell people this is what I do, I understand, I understand the pain of a target parent. But I also have because God has showed me that we have to have some kind of compassion for the favored parent because they have their own childhood trauma. So I see that, and I've had my heart is softened to that. I want the whole family because I see that you have to have a whole family healed and healthy. We say around here, healthy parents, healthy children. And so, that's the passion that I have, and it's driven in me. I eat, sleep, and drink this. I put everything into this, and Jayna knows I have a passion. I get angry about stuff, and I go after, and I make a difference. I want to make a difference, and I don't want kids to suffer.
I've got to say, it takes special humans to do this, and y'all are doing some absolutely amazing work down there. I want to say that I've enjoyed this conversation. I think I could do this for much longer. Y'all have got a lot more to tell us about. But I've got to cut short today. I do want to point out a couple things real fast. First of all, Dwilene, you've got a book revealing the scars about parental alienation. Is that right?
That's right.
And you wrote this, and just real quickly, tell me a little bit about it.
So it kind of tells about my story. I use an analogy of a garden because when I was growing up, that's what we did. We planted a garden. And so, I don't know, one day I was helping my daughter with her flower bed, and God was showing me, we have to dig deep down and get the roots out of these people, these children, we've got to help them. And so I wrote this book so that I could express this, but not to point my fingers at any certain one. So I used, the analogy. If you read it, you'll understand the analogy of it. But yes.
That is fantastic.
Yeah,
it's absolutely fantastic, and I wanna give you both an opportunity real fast to tell everybody here watching that how to get a hold of you in particular. And I want to first, I'll say this: Children for Tomorrow is childrenfortomorrow.org, and that's with the number 4. So that's one way to get a hold of that. Jayna, the Bridge Across. Is there a way for people to get a hold of you for that?
Thebridgeacross.com.
Bridgeacross.com. And y'all take cases pretty much, it sounds like, anywhere at this point. And you obviously want to be court appointed and that sort of stuff. So if people want to reach out to you, and then you can help them and help their lawyers get the court orders necessary to get y'all appointed. Is that right?
Can I say one thing? We're having a symposium in April, the 25th, and it's for mental health, and it's for the legal sector, and it's for targeted parents, and you will be able to get all your CLEs for 8 hours, and it's on our website. So if you want to, register, you can go to our website, and it's right on the front page.
That's fantastic. Do I have to come to Houston for that?
No, it's online. We have about 350 something people every year that join us, and we're online. So we feel like that's a way that we can touch a lot of people.
Well, that is fantastic. I think that's great. We'll make sure we get that out there for everyone to be aware of, particularly in the legal community. How about that?
Thank you.
Of course, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. We look forward to hearing more from you. I want to simply say this too, Janice. I got to say, this concept, this whole thing is really unique. I've not seen anything like this in our area or anywhere else in the state of Texas.
I've not seen it before anywhere.
It's fantastic. Guys, y'all doing amazing work. We greatly appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
With that being said, thank everyone for joining us today with episode 20, Cases and Cocktails. And we look forward to putting out more content here in the month of April. Also, for those that are in the legal sector, don't forget to check out the symposium that Children for Tomorrow are putting on there in Houston later in this month, April 25th, you said, right, Dwilene?
Yes, April the 25th. Yeah, it's from 8 to 5.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys. Thanks for showing up today, and we appreciate it. And continue to check in with us as we've got more content on parental alienation and the family law inner workings here in the great state of Texas.
Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next Friday.